Thanks for having me today. I hope everyone is enjoying their day so far. Every event should be here because this is so awesome. Like, why are we going anywhere else? This is amazing. So yeah, like my bio says, I obviously love Utah. I love small business. I love startups. That's a big passion of mine. So I'm here today to talk to you about the Utah Microloan Fund. And yeah, I've been there for about 3 years now, love it. And I just wanted to ask, how many people here are a small business owner or know a small business owner? Raise your hand. Okay, I think I see some hands. All right, so without further ado, so our mission is really to empower underserved communities in Utah throughout the entire state. How we do that is providing training and funding up to $50,000 to small business owners. And what's awesome about us is you can be both a startup or an existing business. So a lot of startups don't usually qualify for traditional funding just because banks, want you to have a couple of years of, books and kind of practice under your belt before they'll look at you. But we are actually here to fill that gap. And so who we are actually a nonprofit lending institution, and we've been around since 1991, so I was born in 1990, so a long time. And so really the people that we help, when we say the underserved, that includes people with credit history issues, like bad credit is not, well, we look at your credit, but that's not a disqualifier. People who might have insufficient collateral. I know we all might not have a house or a car or things we can put down. And then again, a new business without operating history. And also when we say the underserved, this has gotten better and better throughout time, but it used to kind of be, minorities, women, immigrants. You were very much overlooked by traditional funding. They didn't want to give loans as much to those demographics. And so we were really there to say, hey, these people need money too. We need money. We can't start a business without it. And so we're located in South Salt Lake. I don't think I mentioned that. We're in South Salt Lake, kind of by like the Chinatown supermarket. So there's a lot of awesome restaurants around us. But we do service the entire state. So you can be in Cedar City, St. George, Layton, wherever, and we're here to help you. And so, like I mentioned, we do our loans up to $50,000. We might increase that in the next year or two, but right now that's kind of our cap. The loan term is up to 6 years. However, you can pay that back early. So if you were like a rock star and you wanted to pay it back in a year, you're totally welcome to do that. But 6 years is kind of the max that we have. And then our interest rates is the prime Wall Street prime rate, which kind of fluctuates, but right now it's 3.25%. It's higher if you're a startup. Obviously, you're a little bit riskier, you're brand new. So it would be 3.25% plus that 9%, or if you're an existing business, it'd be plus 4%. So our interest rate is about max 12, 13% right now. Sorry, I need a little water. And then, like I mentioned, we don't need crazy collateral like other places. If you are wanting a loan for the full $50,000, that's when we start looking at maybe putting your house or some equipment, things like that. If you're looking for $25,000 or under, it's way more flexible and we don't need it as much. So something to kind of think about if you're thinking about asking is, what are you willing to provide if you're trying to go for that full 50? And our process is pretty simple. So I'll go into each of these, but we do an online orientation. We actually moved most of our application process online during COVID, and we're actually going to keep it that way because we found, it's a lot more efficient for people across the state. It's kind of easier for both of us, but our loan orientation's online, our whole application process is online, And then right now, I'll talk more about presenting to our loan committee, but that is done over Zoom as well. So you don't really have to come in at all if you don't want to. Yeah, so let me go into these a little bit further. The orientation, this is mandatory. It's available in English or Spanish on our website, but this just goes over, here's exactly what you can expect when applying for a loan from us. Here's what we're looking for. Here's what you're gonna have to provide. This is something that we want you to go through before you start applying, just so you're aware, hey, this is everything you can expect from us and what we expect from you. And so this is on our website. We'll have you go through that first. This is the longest part of the application. And so, like I mentioned, you can be a startup and just have an idea and come get a loan from us, but there are some, requirements with that. We will have you prepare a business plan. It's about 8 to 10 pages, and we have a template on our website. Same thing with our cash flow. With the business plan and the cash flow, we're really looking to see, do you understand what is your product or service? Who are you? What is your management going to be? Do you understand the market? How are you going to, market your product or service? As well as especially, we want to see what you're asking for. Like, okay, I want $50,000, but what are you using it for and why, and how would it change your business? So that's something we really look for in those two things. And we work with you on those, so you don't have to turn in a perfect product. We'll give you feedback and whatnot. If you need extra help, we always refer people to the Small Business Development Centers. They're awesome, and they're located throughout the state. But generally, we can help you with that and work through that. We will have you turn in your past 3 years of tax returns, your personal, and then if you have some for your business, those as well. And then also your personal checking account statements, as well as your business if you have them. Some people kind of get confused of like, why are you looking at my personal checking or my personal credit report if this is for my business? And we're doing that because we're looking at you, the business owner, and seeing, can you pay back this loan? Is this something that, we can invest in? We are a lending institution, but we are a nonprofit at the end of the day, so I wish we had all the money in the world, but unfortunately not. But so you do need to have legal right to work in the U.S. So you don't have to be a citizen, but we do have to see, okay, I can work here until 5 years from now, things like that. And then lastly, like business incorporating documents, like are you an LLC, are you a corporation, things like that. And so throughout that whole process, we'll really work with you on it, make sure that you're, submitting the right things, making sure everything looks good. We really want to set you up for success because I don't think I mentioned this before, but the coolest thing about us that really drew me to working here is when you apply for a loan with us, it's not just who you are on paper. You actually get to come in or on Zoom, present who you are, present your business. You can bring in samples, things like that. So it's not just, oh, Tracy has a bad credit score and I don't know about this business, you know what I mean? So she, you actually get to come in and talk to everyone and really present everything about your business, which is something I really like because some places it's just who you are on paper. So that's something that really sets us apart that I like. So we really work with you on this to set you up for success when you meet with our loan committee. And again, all of this is online. We have a really great system called LenderFit that we have you use, and I think it's super easy. So, but again, we work with you every step of the way with it. True. True. She's saying you're born in 1990, so it's probably easy for you. That's probably true. Well, I think it's easier. They used to submit a whole paper application and scan everything. I'm like, that seems complicated. No, just do it online. Yeah. Okay. And then you'll submit your complete application, and then again, like I mentioned, we'll work with you on it. We ask you questions throughout it, so we try and ask you everything that we think the loan committee might ask you, like, oh, okay, like you're saying that by year 3, your sales might be this much. Like, why do you think that? Or just kind of questions to kind of improve your application. We might ask for additional documentation, things like that. And then anything that might strengthen your business plan, I usually work with people on that. But we'll get that all put together, and then you submit that. It's a $50 application fee. We have the application fee because we review your application. We do pull your credit and look at that. One thing to mention is, even though we pull your credit and that credit score is not a make or break factor, the biggest thing that I kind of see where people make a mistake is, we ask you earlier in the application process, hey, do you have any debt that's not paid off? Do you have any bankruptcies? Do you have any kind of issues that we should know about? And some people will say no, but we all know the credit report does not lie. So we'll pull your credit and then we'll see, oh, they have a bankruptcy, or oh, they have this thing that they're not paying over here, or some issue. And so those aren't make or break, but when people aren't honest and upfront with, hey, I have some student loan debt that I'm working on. If we're not hearing about that, it's like, okay, well, did you not know that you had this payment, or are you trying to not be honest with us? So that's when we're kind of like, I don't know. So I would just say, like, the more honest and upfront you are, like, hey, I had a bankruptcy. It's like, that's fine. If it's like resolved or you have a plan and you're working on it, that's not make or break to us. We just want to see, because it's like, well, if you're not going to pay them, are you going to pay me? Because, you know, we like money too. So that's just one thing I want to mention is, none of those things are make or break. Just be honest and upfront, and that helps a ton. Because we're really looking at your character. We're often referred to as character lending. And do we think that you're going to pay back and be honest and things like that? Sorry. Okay, so like I mentioned, when you are presenting to our credit committee, right now that's being done over Zoom. It used to be done in person. We might go back to that eventually. But this is when you have a half hour to kind of present, here's who I am, here's my business, here's why I'm passionate about it, here's what I'm asking the money for, kind of like everything that you want us to know from your application, you're telling us in person. And the credit committee is really cool. It's made up of bankers, previous business owners, current business owners, previous clients. So it's kind of an interesting mix of people. So it's kind of different perspectives than are hearing about you and hearing about your business. And then again, they'll ask you questions, you know, and then from there they'll kind of determine if it's a yes or a no. And generally, if it's a no, we'll tell you why. Like, here's what we'd want to see fixed, or maybe you can come back once, you know, this is strengthened, but that's kind of our presentation process. And usually after you submit your application, this is about 2 weeks after, we take that 2 weeks to kind of really get all your paperwork together and reviewed. And then we'll typically tell you the answer, if not the same day, within 1 or 2 days, and tell you, okay, yes, it's approved, or it might be approved, but we might need a co-signer, things like that. But we're generally pretty quick on letting you know if it's a yes or no. And so really what your approval is based on is your business plan. Like, do we think that you understand what it takes to open and run this business? Do we think you understand what it means to take on this money? Because even though we're in the business of giving loans, we really don't want to give them to people if we think that it will be detrimental to them. Like, we just, you know, we care so much about you. So it's not that we're mean or anything, we just really want to give it to people who we think it can be successful. We also, like I mentioned, we really look at your cash flow. I know this is like kind of the boring stuff, it's very important. But we look at your cash flow. Do we think that you actually understand your numbers, your costs, your sales, things like that? And then, like I mentioned, the character. So are you upfront about things? Are you honest? Are you timely? Are you, you know, it doesn't matter if you're polite, but it does help, you know.
Check their Facebook?
No. Should I check their Facebook?
Yeah.
Really?
Totally.
Okay, because I do that for everyone else.
Instagram.
Yeah. Because I am a really good social media detective, so maybe I should start applying this over here. Okay. TikTok. Oh, well then they're gonna look at my TikTok now. So these are kind of the main three things that we're looking on for loan approval. And I kind of already went over these, but these are the most common reason for a decline. Number two, we do have some people that come in and they're like, well, I have this idea and I have this idea and maybe this over here and this over here. We're like, okay, let's focus, let's pick one thing, so if we think you're kind of all over the place and like, ooh, are they gonna be able to like make this one thing happen and then maybe do it in stages, that helps. And then some people don't really acknowledge like, who's the competition here? Who's already out there? Who's doing this well? Like, are you kind of aware of what the market already is and how are you improving if you are kind of opening something similar? And then the credit report, again, if you're behind on bills, that's okay, but we want to just see that you have a plan and you're doing something. Like, all of us probably have student loan debt, or divorce is really common, or healthcare bills. Like, we've all had something, and that's okay. We just want to see, if there's a plan there. I don't know that girl. So a really fun thing that I like about us is once you're a client, we actually provide as a free service to you ongoing consulting and business training. And so my job is to meet with you one-on-one. And do you need help getting your website started? Do you need help with your social media? Do you I have a lot of restaurant experience, whatever it might be. I'm a free resource to our clients. Yes.
Related to that, and you mentioned that 50,000 is the maximum amount that someone can request a loan for. If you talk to a small business owner or an entrepreneur that is trying to get their business going, and their need for funding is higher than 50,000.
Yeah.
Do you work either with other lenders, or if, let's say, it's a business again, where the owner is an LGBTQ entrepreneur, do you have resources specific to LGBTQ business owners or entrepreneurs so they can get that additional funding? Or like on our side, Intermountain Healthcare and Select Health, we have grants, we have community funds that we give to organizations doing nonprofit work. So you connect with other entities so they can get the additional funding. Because I can see how some, if their need is more
higher,
than 50,000, they say, I need more, so I will need to find someone else that can provide the entire. But you could provide 50, and then they can go,
Yeah, so we've done both cases. So we'll do, they'll get 50 from us, and then maybe they try and find a grant or funding elsewhere.
Yeah.
We also work a lot with Mountain West Small Business Finance. They do much bigger loans. I think they might do up to 250,000. So if it's more than we can provide, we'll generally refer them over there. MoFi is also coming into town, and they do bigger loans, but they're also kind of our competition, but we like them. We like them, they're nice. We love them. Yeah. I think so. No, that's good. His question?
I just said that they work with Celtic Bank. They're probably our competition, and I just interrupted your presentation to say that. But
no.
Anyway.
No, you're okay. Well, no, because we actually, I didn't mention this before, but so the reason we exist is we're a nonprofit, and so that doesn't make sense. Congress passed the CARES Act, which means that banks and certain organizations have to allocate a certain amount of money to organizations like us to give out to people that they typically don't bank. And so we actually get money from, like I think we've worked with Celtic in the past, but we actually get money from banks, from the SBA, from fundraising, things like that. I think we're talking to Intermountain. I think our executive director is talking to someone there, and they're making a plan. So I'm not sure where that's at, but yeah, if we can't give you all of it, we definitely try and refer you to someone who can, or kind of work together. And then you had kind of a two-part question.
It was that, and then the two two other aspects of it, which is, you know, if someone has a larger need for funding, if also there's any type of you do also include an advisory type of guidance, you know, social media, you know, how to develop your marketing plan and that type of thing. But also, if you encounter, let's say, a non-profit type of small business like your own, provide guidance on these are all the things that as a non-for-profit you would have access to and qualify for on top of the 50,000 that we can provide.
Yes, and so I do that especially for our clients, and so I'm always looking out for grants or funding or anything I can send them. And so that's something I frequently do. For people that are just applying, we kind of try and refer them, but yeah. I think that kind of answered your question. Okay. Okay. Any other questions so far? Or yes.
You guys are you affiliated with the SCORE program? Or are you working as a team member with the SCORE program?
Yeah, we do. And so we work with SCORE and we refer people over there. And for people who don't know, SCORE is kind of like Small Business Development Center also, where they have volunteer mentors who will work with you on same thing, business plan, cash flow. And so we actually have a member of SCORE on our board, Eric Marks. You know Eric? He's cool. And then he teaches classes for us as well. So, yeah, and then so even if you're not a client, we do frequently have classes that are open to the whole small business community, and they are free. We actually just wrapped up a whole series on hiring, but for October, we're going to have a 2-part class. Do people here know Karen Pally? Karen's really awesome if you don't know Karen Pally. She's going to be teaching a 2-part marketing plan class, and these are free to attend. So if you're interested in our classes as well, I would definitely follow us on social media, because I always post everything there. So, but yeah, this is just a cool thing that I love about us. It's not just like, okay, here's your money, see you later. It's like, hey, how can we keep helping you? So yeah, so that's that. We do also have another program called Banking on Women. It is a women's entrepreneurship program. It's kind of on hold right now, COVID coming back up, and we're trying to figure out, okay, do we want to keep doing it online? How do we want to do this? But if that's something you're interested in, I would also follow us on social media. It might come back this year. We're kind of deciding, but that is something we have available.
Sarah,
Yes.
I just confirmed that you are in active conversations with Intermountain, so I think that exact point, that if you're a small business and you're looking for more than the 50,000, that there are those partnership opportunities there, and certainly in underserved communities and small businesses that Intermountain is partnering with Microloan.
For sure. Okay, good. Because I knew they were talking, so I was like, I don't know where that's at, but I know. Perfect.
Repeat that for Zoom.
Yeah, she was saying, she confirmed that we are talking to Intermountain Healthcare about maybe some grant funding and things like that. So I don't handle that part, so I'm like, yay, that's awesome. Okay, and then these are just some free resources that we love and constantly refer to. And so, like I mentioned, small business development centers, they're throughout the whole state. Women's Business Center of Utah is also awesome, and you actually don't have to be a woman to go there. Anyone can go there. And they have really great resources as well. We frequently partner with them on classes and events and things like that. SCORE, same thing. If you need extra business help, they're awesome and they're free as well. And then we also refer people to SWAZO. While we have had our orientation translated into Spanish, our website translates into Spanish at the click of a button, we unfortunately don't have anyone that speaks Spanish at our organization. We want that. And so if someone is more of a Spanish speaker and needs kind of that extra help that maybe we can't provide, we will send them to SWAZO because they're awesome for that as well. I think that's the end of my presentation. So I mentioned we're on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, we're on all of those, and we're super active on there. So if you want to follow us and kind of stay in touch. I have cards over here if anybody's interested for more information, but our website's also a great place to start. What other questions do people have? Yes?
Will you repeat this question for Zoom? But
Yes.
my question is, what's the average time? I know I'm sure it varies, but what's the average time that it takes from application to approval?
So average time for turning in your application to approval is probably about 2 to 3 weeks. So we have our loan committees every 2 weeks. And so if you get everything in by the deadline, like today's deadline, or there's a deadline today, for example, credit committee would then be 2 weeks from now.
Oh, wow.
So it's fast, but it's not like super fast, but we are a small team, there's about 5 of us. And so if you're like on the spot turning everything in, it can be pretty quick. If you're kind of taking a while, it'll take a while. So, yes?
Does anyone else have questions? Are there check-in points with these people for money? Meaning like with grants, you have to say, okay, what happened the first quarter or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. We have done surveys in the past for kind of information for our annual report, things like that. That's something our new executive director actually really wants to increase, is how much we're following up with people more for, like, I follow up with them all the time, like, what do you need help with? Or things like that, but not so much on that side. But that's something that we're looking to hire and grow these next couple years, and that's something we really want to focus on, is how much we're reaching out that way. So, what else? What other questions do we have? Or how are we on time?
We have 7 minutes.
Oh,
Anything
perfect.
online? You just say Zoom. Ask if there's any.
Are there any questions on Zoom?
Chris will text me.
Oh, okay. I was like, how will I
You're
know?
like, how will I know?
How will I know they're
We
asking?
don't hear them talking.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You were talking about creating a business plan.
Yeah.
An 8 to 10 page business plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of San Diego, and so I'm here for a different reason than everyone here. We often get people that we call, they're the festival circuit. So they're either farmers markets or street fairs.
Mm-hmm.
Finding funding for them is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
The type of microloans that they're seeking are typically September to November
Yep.
as they're getting ready for the holidays.
Yep.
And then again for the summer season, so they get the 2 little big bangs.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of federal or national program that would provide funding for something like that? Just because they have a hard time.
Have they reached out to microlenders, like where they are? Because we fund things like that all the time.
Yeah, there's local foundations
Okay.
that help, but I just haven't found anything on the national that's tied to more national programs or big banks that could sustain them for a longer period.
Yeah. That's actually a really good question, and I'm not sure of the answer to that. So if they look for the kind of institution we are is a CDFI, a certified, oh my God, now I'm going to forget.
I used to.
Certified funding institution or something like that. Wow, I'm really forgetting on that. But their whole purpose is things like micro-lending to underserved or things like that. So if you can find organizations like that, that might be super helpful. But we fund stuff like that all the time. Like we have a guy who sells fireworks, which now like fireworks, probably shouldn't be doing them anymore, but he literally every year he like comes to us to buy his big shipment of fireworks and then sells them and then comes back. We're like, all right. Well, they're really funny fireworks, but it's like him dressed up holding like Jell-O. Like he's dressed up as a woman holding Jell-O on the firework. Super weird, but we're like, okay.
There's an eel.
Ooh. No, that's impressive. Did we have any Zoom questions?
No.
All right. Well, thank you all for having me today. I'm finishing a little early, but it's okay, right? But thank you all for having me. If you have any questions, definitely check out our website. You can email me, whatever, but have a great day and enjoy the aquarium. So thank you.
Thank you.